Good afternoon, everybody. I am glad to be back with you guys. This is our normal Thursday training that did not happen on Thursday because we had some issues came up. So we were actually wound up being gone most of the day. But we are here today, doing it a day late, but we're not going to miss it. So, everybody has those points in time. Oh, first, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the like, bump this up, that stuff. Be watching for the blog and will be posted in the comments below as well. Okay, got all that done. Now, everybody has conversations, right? That's natural. Some of those conversations that we have in life change us. They rock our core a little bit, and they challenge our thought process, changing our course of direction. Okay? So this was been several years ago now. I had a conversation with a friend. We are fairly close. We're still fairly close. That challenged me to look into the safety of products that I'd always believed to be safe. Everybody around me used them, so why wouldn't they be safe? She had recently looked into this and made a discovery that absolutely shocked her, rocked her to her core, enough that she knew that I needed to look into it, but also knew me well enough to not just tell me what I should think. She knew that I needed to do my own research, because I'm a researcher. That's what I do. So what did I do, right? I started reading. There was a couple books that she recommended. I started there. And the further I got into the books, the more shocked I became at how things can be twisted and changed, or how different things can be masked during history or time if you don't look at the big picture. So after I got done with that book, I started diving into specifics, diving into the numbers, researching everything about this product, the safety studies, the death rates, reaction rates. I looked at it all because I had to have concrete evidence, and I set out on this to prove that I was right. I wanted to prove that I was right and that I didn't need to change. Besides, how could something that so many people use not actually be safe? It didn't make sense. As I dug further and further into the research, what I found actually shocked me. So the companies who make this product, they weren't even liable. If a severe reaction happened, death, permanent disability, they weren't liable. You couldn't sue them. It was 1986, all those companies were made legally exempt from liability by Congress. So if a company, then my brain starts going, okay, so if a company isn't liable and they can't be sued if their product harmed somebody, why and how are they then guaranteed safe? Well, there's supposed to be a check in there. There's supposed to be our lovely government. FDA is supposed to be checking on the safety of these things. They haven't done it. They have not done it. So then I'm like, okay, we hear of issues, but not that often, so how bad is this, really? So I started looking at the numbers. I started comparing death rates prior to the release of these products. I turned them into percentages based on the U.S. population and the year. So I had number of deaths divided by the population that year before this was released. That made the number comparable across years. That's why I did it, because population changes every year, right? Then I looked at the reaction rates. What was the reaction rate that was reported to these products? Every time the reaction rate percentage was greater than the death rate. Prior. Every time. okay, well, that's weird. So now what? I'm like, okay, how did these get to market? Like, it completely blew my mind and baffled me. So I started looking into the safety studies, right? Every product has to have some sort of safety study done. That's how they get into the production line. Whether the safety studies are good or bad, kind of depends upon how they're done, the length, whatever. What I found is most of these safety studies, actually all of them, were tested for usually less than a year before they were marketed to the public. And after those safety tests were done, there was usually only maximum of 6 months of follow-up of these products to check for adverse long-term reactions. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. No wonder we see a lot of reactions. A lot of these products weren't tested together either, as we now see them used. So what can you do? Right? That's always the big takeaway. What can you do? Do your research. Don't be afraid to have one of your beliefs questioned about anything, really. We talked about paradigms earlier and how it's okay to have your paradigms challenged and shift. This is one of those things. Take your time to make decisions. Research. Use Google Scholar, not just Google. Google gives you good short articles, but if you want the actual nitty-gritty down to the science, you have to use Google Scholar, because Google Scholar pulls back the scientific studies. Google pulls back everything, and you're not going to get those scientific studies because most people don't want to read through them. They're long, they're boring, they're hard to read sometimes. You'll get the blogs, the opinions on Google, but that's not what you want when you're making these types of decisions and actually looking into this. What's come of it for me is I'm not afraid to have my own thought process challenged. And that's okay. That used to bother me. That's not, okay. And I'll usually look into it if somebody brings something to me, have you thought about this? I'll look into it. I'll do this research, I'll study it, see what I find. One of two things are going to happen. Either A, I'm going to solidify my opinion, and I'm going to back it up with science and firm data, or I'm going to change my mind, and I'm going to have the data and science to back it up on that end too. So, that is our Thursday training on a Friday, and yeah, hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day and enjoy the sunshine. Talk to you later. Bye.